Alright guys, I'm going to pick up on number 12. Just kind of have to keep the videos under 15 minutes so they upload a little bit faster, and it helps to eliminate issues with the sound not working. 12 is another problem where we need to find the product and get it into standard form. Here I am distributing everything in my first parentheses to my second parentheses. I'll do that first part in blue, and then the negative w, I will also distribute that to everything in the second one. So I've got 6 times w squared to get 6w squared, 6 times negative 4w to get negative 24w, and 6 times 4 to get 24. Negative w times w squared gives me negative w cubed. Negative w times negative 4w gives me a positive 4w squared, and negative w times 4 gives me negative 4w. Let's go ahead and check the exponents on everything. They're all the same variable, so I don't have to worry about anything alphabetical order-wise. This one I'll underline twice, once. I'll do like the dashed one here. This one 3 times, this one twice, and this one once. Let me just start with my higher ones underlined, and there's only one that's underlined 3 times. That's my negative w cubed. Then I'm working with anything squared, and I have a 6w squared plus 4w squared, so I get 10w squared. Counted for those, so I just like to cross them out sometimes. Negative 24w minus 4w gives me a negative 28w. And looks like the only thing left is a positive 24. Alright, moving on to 13. A rectangular picture is 7 inches longer than it is wide, and a frame 2 inches wide is placed around the picture. So something that helps is, speaking of a problem about a picture, is draw a picture. Okay, and you don't have to actually draw a full-on picture, but it's nice to draw like a little rectangle, and I'm gonna let x equal my width and say, well, if x is my width, I know that my length is 7 inches longer than it is wide, or it doesn't specifically say its length, but one side is 7 inches longer, so I'm going to call this side x plus 7. But I have this frame that goes all the way around it, and this corresponds to x plus 4. Now recall that yes, the frame is only 2 inches wide, but it's 2 inches wide here and 2 inches wide there, so that's how I get the 4 combined together. Same with this w plus 7. This frame side will be x plus 7 plus 4, or x plus 11. Okay. Alright, now I need to write a polynomial that represents the perimeter of the frame. So hopefully we'll remember how to find the perimeter of a rectangle. Remember, it's 2L plus 2W, and I'm sorry if that looks like an E. 2L plus 2W. Let me factor out the 2. Still there, and then I am going to go ahead and write in what my length is and what my width is. My length is going to be x plus 11, and my width is going to be x plus 4. Alright, now this is 2 times, and I can actually go without these parentheses because there are no minus signs that need to be distributed to it. Let me see if I can get this without erasing the numbers, and I can. So inside, I'm going to get 2x plus 15. Going to distribute the 2 back in and get 4x plus 30. That's my perimeter. Now let's write a polynomial that represents the area of the frame. Remember, area for a rectangle or even a square is length times width. So I'm going to write area equals length times width, and my length is x plus 11, and my width is x plus 4. This becomes a problem like a foiling problem or distributing of all the terms. You are going to get x squared plus 4x plus 11x plus 44. Let me simplify that and get x squared plus 15x plus 44. So that is the polynomial that represents the area of my frame. Now let's find the perimeter of the frame if we know the picture is 10 inches wide. So recall that my perimeter formula we got was 4x plus 30. And we're comfortable with, or should be comfortable with, functions. So let's write that as p of x is equal to 4. Oops, I haven't meant to do that yet. 4x plus 30. So if I know that my perimeter, I know that the width is 10, I'm going to plug the 10 in for the x, plug 10 in for this x, and get 4 times 10 or 40 plus 30, which is 70, and then I'll go ahead and use my unit of measure, which are inches. Let's check out 14. 14 is another problem that would help to draw the picture before we begin. So let me kind of just erase this to make a little bit more room. And I think I'll use green since this is a garden, and let me make this a little more white right over here. Okay, so let's see. You're making a fence for your garden. The length is 4 less than 3 times the width. So I would like to use x again and let that represent what my width is. Alright, so let me draw my garden. If x is my width, I can represent the length then as 4 less than 3 times the width. Alright, so let's go ahead and go through the perimeter and the polynomial. Perimeter was, if we recall from up above, of a rectangle, 2 times whatever the length and the width combined are. So this is going to be 2 times, and I'm going to use the bracket because I'm going to do multiple parentheses here. 3x minus 4 plus x. And if I simplify that a bit, it's going to give me 4x minus 4, and this is going to be equal to 8x minus 8. That's my perimeter. Let's do the area. Remember, area is length times width. If I plug in my length and my width, it's 3x minus 4 times x. This will be 3x squared minus 4x. Alright, now part C says, well, what if the width is 9 feet? Remember, width was what we used x to represent what width was, so everywhere there's an x for these formulas, we will replace them with 9. So if I was thinking of it as a function, perimeter of x is 8x minus 8. So p of 9 would be 8 times 9 minus 8. Remember, 8 times 9 is 72, and 72 minus 8 is 64. So that would be, I guess, feet. And then area, I'll write that as a function as well, is 3x squared minus 4x. If I know that my width is 9, then I can plug that in and get 3 times 9 squared minus 4 times 9. I have to go order of operations. There's nothing, even though there are parentheses, there's nothing to do inside of them. So I go to exponents to get 3 times 81 minus 4 times 9. 3 times 81 is 243. 4 times 9 is 36. And then let me simplify that up a bit. And look, I think it's 207 feet squared because it's our area. All right, let's move on. Again, guys, if I'm going through these quick, it's because I'm trying to keep the time on these videos down. But if there's any of these particular problems you'd like more of an explanation, feel free to reach out to me, whether in person or on Remind or whatever it might be. Okay, if you'd like to, you can leave a comment down in the discussion board where these videos will be posted on Canvas. All right, 15. We've got about 3.5 minutes, so let's go through a few and then cut it off about just short of 15 minutes. Remember, for all of our factors, whenever we factor, we have to look for a GCF first, okay? There may be one, there may not. In 15, I can look. I know that 7 goes into 28, but it doesn't go into 53. And 28 doesn't have an x that I could factor out like they are x's that exist in the first two terms. So there is nothing I can factor there. I don't know why those are not erasing, but okay. Let's see here. Let me go ahead and start factoring. Now, there are different methods, and I have different ones on Edpuzzle, and there's different ones that are shown through the textbook Edpuzzle videos. One of the ways that I like to organize it is using that magic X, and some of you guys don't use it. That's fine. Whichever way works for you. If you do like a guess and check, then this is kind of like an organized way to do that. Remember, this top number comes from multiplying my A and my C together. This bottom number comes from B. 7 times 28 is 196. And B is just 53. Now I want two factors that if I multiply them, they give me 196. And if I add them or subtract them, they give me 53. Now, I don't really want to list out all my factors of 196, but if the one that we have to use doesn't immediately come to you, you may have to start writing out some of the factors and then see if something works. For example, 196, oops, that's not a 9. 196, factors of that could be 1 and 196. There's no way for me to add or subtract those together to get to 53, so I know that won't work. 196 divided by 2. Let's see, I know it will be divisible by 2 because 196 is an even number. I get 8, that one will also not work. I can check 196 divided by 3, get a decimal. 196 divided by 4, I get 49. And I think there is a way to combine that, and I would do so by a positive 4 and a positive 49. Now, let me erase this and just try to finish up the last 30 seconds here. Remember, I like to go ahead and divide both of these, whatever your A is equal to, by AX. So like A times X. And in this case, A is 7, so I'm going to divide both of these by 7X and see if there's anything that I can reduce. Now, I can't reduce the one on the left, so this I'm going to write in parentheses as 7X plus 4. However, the one on the right, I can reduce both by 7, and I will get 7 over X. So this goes into the second parentheses as an X plus 7, and that's your factored form. And I'm going to stop this video here. We'll pick up on 16 in the next one.